of rewatching UFO, and I have no one to talk to because no one's heard of it. Everyone I mention it to is like, what? I absolutely love this show. It is my favorite science fiction show, and I've been watching it while I'm sewing. Basically, I wanted to talk about specifically Commander Straker because he's just the best. And he's so flawed and wonderful. To start out with, let's do something frivolous, which is I really love his blue dressing gown. Yeah. It's the checkerboard one. He has it in the end of Sub Smash in the hospital. He also brought it to Moonbase for Kill Straker. I cannot express how much I love this dressing gown. Yeah, I'm sure it was Sylvia. Great job there. And I'm just gonna switch to a little technical thing. I do not do live streams very often. Still figuring it out, to be honest. A question of priorities hit particularly hard with this rewatch. There is a scene where Commander Straker has been up for who knows how long, and Alec comes in and is basically like, you're exhausted, go home, get some rest, take a little bit of time off. And Straker looks absolutely heartbroken. And he looks into the camera and just says, "Wow." Wow, it's still hitting me. And then he goes to his office and basically just goes back to work. Now, I don't know how this scene feels to people who have a relatively intact, happy family. I don't know what that's like. For the rest of us, we've been there. The what home? Wow. Okay, I'm also a workaholic, like Commander Straker. In fact, I had to go to HR and ask them what the break policy was because I had not taken a break in 11 years. I forgot what it was. And so this idea of kind of compensating for the mess that's going on by overworking is something that I completely relate to in his character. In my first watch, as I recall, and you've probably seen it in the videos if you saw them, I wasn't a huge fan of Colonel Freeman. I mean, I liked him. He's all right, and I especially liked him when he defended Ed, but this particular rewatch, I have a growing appreciation for his character because he has balance in his life. And he's always coming in. I forget which episode it was, but he came to Commander Straker's office and was like, okay, I'm gonna go get dinner. I don't know how long you've been here working, but come have dinner with me. And Straker's just like, no, I'm working. And Colonel Freeman's like, there's steak. It's gonna be really good. Are you sure? Just a few minutes away from your desk. And Ed's like, no, I'm working. I've been there. And then he gets back after dinner and he's like, you know, the steak was really good. Are you sure? And of course, Straker's like, no, I'm working. We uh we all need an Alec to just grab us away from our desk, close the laptop down. And we saw it here with Question of Priorities when he's like, hey, you should probably go home. It's actually partly why I really started my vlogging channel, is Colonel Freeman. Because it really affected me, of him being like, hey, you've got to have something outside of work. I know that your life is a mess and your family's basically gone and destroyed and you have nothing left to live for, but you gotta make something to live for. You have to cling on to that and get balance back. Like, you can't make shadow your entire existence. And I was like, yeah, you're right. I do need to go have that dinner. I do need to occasionally go home, but there's what home? You know, just like he said. So for me, home is outside in cemeteries. Don't ask. But anyway, the point is, this rewatch has transformed my opinion of his character, because he's not just there to have your back when aliens attack and are shooting at you, which he does. He is there for you when you need a push to stop working. I really admire Commander Straker. He gave up everything. When I was rewatching this, the scene when the transport is going away and he knows he could override everything and be like, no, it's coming to save my son. Who cares about the aliens? He doesn't. He chooses the planet. And then, of course, when it doesn't work, this whole episode is still my favorite. I think, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure in my review of the show way back when, this episode was #1, followed by Subsmash. Or it might have been the reverse. But this is just absolutely brilliant TV. The performances are so heartbreakingly good. And I was just bawling, just sobbing, honestly. Again, that line, what home? Because it's something I've been struggling with, and I have no one to talk to about this, because no one knows about UFO or Commander Straker, any of these struggles, or and I'm like going through stuff, and it's really hard to be part of a fandom where there are so few of us. What's interesting is that he is aware of his issue, because there is another episode where Lieutenant Ellis is having the same problem. She is working really hard, trying to be perfect, trying to have all her reports ready and everything, and is kind of having a meltdown, to be honest. As a result, she can't handle this. And Commander Straker is like, let's get a cup of coffee. And he sits her down and is like, you are doing a fantastic job. You do not have to do all this work. You can chill. Like, you don't need to worry about every detail. Take a break. Take a furlough. I'm proud of you for who you are without destroying your life for Shadow, kind of like I am. And he's just really sweet about it. And then the scene at the end of that one where he's like, now remember, like, you are a beautiful woman. You are beautiful. You own that. You're awesome. And so it's so funny. Colonel Foster walks in and he's just like, yeah, that was a hilarious scene. And I think Straker was like, okay, don't judge a conversation by walking in on the end of it. It's got to be one of my favorite scenes on the show, of him just being so vulnerable and compassionate with Lieutenant Ellis, and then Foster walking in and just totally misreading the entire situation. Hello, Andy. Ah, yes. Ed Bishop's acting has been top notch. Yes. Oh my goodness. All he has to do is just look at the camera and you can read every emotion going through his mind. And from the outward appearance, he's always very, stoic most of the time. But his eyes, if you look at his eyes, they're so tortured, especially in Question of Priorities. Oh my goodness. That ending scene when Mary is just screaming at him and his expression. If I could give out awards, every award across the board should have gone to actually both their performances. I don't remember her name, but the actor who plays Mary is outstanding as well. I was rewatching Subsmash and he gets these flashbacks to that moment. Oh, that was really tough to watch. And Nina's amazing in that episode when she's crawling through the tube. I'm claustrophobic, just like Straker, and I could barely watch it. I was just like, oh my goodness. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew they were both gonna be fine. Doesn't make any difference. That episode is so stressful. Oh, he had to go to a lady's hairdresser to have his hair dyed blonde. I always wondered if that was his real hair or if it was a wig. Because there's definitely episodes where it looks great, and then others where it's like, did you change your shampoo there? Because it's a little, All right, so maybe he had a different hairdresser for those episodes. That, or the explanation is he just never went home that day. I do like his little breakfasts. That's one of my favorite parts, is every now and then you'll see him in his office having breakfast. It's usually toast. He has a tiny little toast rack that he has. Yeah. Oh, Andy, you met Ed before he passed. That's amazing. I love it when the actors are genuinely good people and you meet them and you're like, oh, wow, that was great. Yeah. I wish there was a way to let him know. I know it's too late, but just how amazing that performance was. I do not understand why we didn't get more than one season, just because of Commander Straker. I mean, his plotline, the loneliness and isolation of command and having to make these decisions. I mean, Star Trek is a fun show, but they kind of touch on, but never quite really lean into how difficult it is to be in a position of command with these levels of decisions. It's rough. And with UFO especially, they did such a good job. But then on the other side, he does know how to relax. We know he likes to golf. And obviously, he has a very good sense of fashion. I think once he even was kind of, what do you think? Does it look like a movie producer would wear? Hmm? Hmm? He has a fashionable side. Mm-hmm. The test that he gives Colonel Foster, who has been brainwashed by the aliens in Kill Straker is the episode title. I thought that was incredible. At the end, when he has to convince Foster that he's so angry he's going to kill him. And poor Foster at the end is just like crying and practically in a heap on the floor. And Straker is like, I'm so sorry. I had to put you through that. I had to be sure. Hmm. Yeah, really, across the board, everyone did a great job. Henderson, I hate Henderson with a passion. That actor was great. Every time he walks in the room, I'm just like, Henderson. That is true. He looks so much like Captain Blue, especially when he's in blue suits, that sometimes it's actually distracting. I'm just like, oh, right, we're not actually watching a live action Captain Scarlet. Because, yeah, there's definitely, I think anyway, I could be wrong, a lot of references to Captain Blue. Because Straker does wear the color a lot. Pay attention, he does. His blue dressing gown. And also, I noticed recently there's a lot of scenes where he's like, okay, we have to attack in grid blue. And I'm like, what's with all the grid blue references? They could have chosen other colors. It does happen the reverse way. Sometimes I'll watch Captain Scarlet, the original one, and be like, oh no, it's Straker. It's not Straker. It's not Straker. Relax. I'm like, Colonel White, how dare you talk to him like that? You're acting like Henderson. Yeah. But honestly, I could just rewatch the show on loop. In fact, I might. I meant to watch Confetti Check A-OK first and then Question of Priorities with this rewatch. I failed. I couldn't help myself. I pressed play. So that means when I get to the end and I restarted, I'm going to be very careful. And I'm going to watch Confetti Check first. Let me know in the comments which way you like to watch them. I haven't decided yet. Because I really like Question of Priorities and just the angst and the decision making going on there. And then having Confetti Check. But also, it's great to have all that backstory. And you're really engaged and involved with Mary and her story. And then you jump over to the hospital stuff. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Yes, the episode Kill Straker is, I think, one of the best on the show. It really is. That scene is so tense too when there's been the air breach on Moonbase and Straker has the gun but he's like barely conscious and Foster's stalking toward him. Oh. I know what's gonna happen. I know they're both gonna be fine and I'm still just like and again, it's because of the performances. I think they were also slightly blurring the camera too. I'll have to go back and check, but when they like go towards Straker, there's like a little jiggle blurry thing in the camera, so you really feel like you're losing oxygen as well. But Sub Smash, I'm working on a skydiver cosplay right now, and so I'm rewatching that episode over and over and pausing constantly, like, where's the seam? How are they sewing that in? Is the color like this or is it like that? And even though I'm basically watching it for costumes, every time I'm just like a wreck, a mess after watching it. I'm just when Nina's like banging on the door, Straker, Straker, and I'm like, ah, oh my goodness, open the door. I'm just screaming at the screen, open the door. Or the hatch, technically it's the hatch, but I just feel for her. Like, that is my nightmare of getting trapped in there. And the moment when she realizes it has not blown, the water is not coming in, and she is stuck, and she just rips off her snorkel equipment and is just like, I'm gonna die in here. I still recommend anyone who has not seen the show watch Sub Smash first. The pilot is probably one of my least favorite episodes. It's not bad, but it's not a good intro to the show, I don't think. You know, show it just shining. Let them see it at its best and then decide whether or not to watch it. Oh wow, the kill Straker when he slapped Foster. Oh my goodness, yeah. He looked really shocked. He did. That makes sense. I was like, that is amazing acting, but I guess it was a combination of acting and genuine, like, what are you doing? Yeah, Ed, he loves the shock slapping, doesn't he? That's, At the time, the first time I saw it, I was so horrified and annoyed, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, it is still horrifying, but it's what he's trained to do, and I wouldn't want his character to be perfect. That's one of the brilliant things about UFO is that they're people, they're humans, they make mistakes. They're not the perfect heroes. They're people. So I'm still in the middle of this particular rewatch. I am on actually the episode where I think it's court martial or something like that, where Foster is wrongfully accused of being a traitor. And again, great acting so far. Poor Foster is just like, it wasn't me. Bambi eyes, and I'm like, oh, you poor thing. I know it wasn't. I think so far I've mostly seen on this one the Colonel Freeman episodes, only about one or two of the Colonel Lake, but I really like her too. I do. Not just because of the purple outfit and the way she eats apples, which is super cute, but I do actually genuinely like her character, who is also flawed. I mean, her leadership skills are stellar. Like, she was over on Skydiver. It's the one where they were dumping the gas into the ocean. And she's like, all right, we're going to push Skydiver to the max. And she knew how risky it was. She knew they could end up in a sub-smash themselves. And very just pulled together. She's like, we're going to keep going. We're going to go deeper. And everyone around her is starting to panic. And she's just, we have to do this. We have to try. And we're going to. I trust this crew. I trust you. And we're going to push the boundaries here. Yeah. That was a scary decision that she made that I think doesn't get talked about enough. She can make the tough calls too, not just Straker. Yeah. Yeah. That is another reason I love UFO is every character is intriguing. There's one person, I don't know his name. I need to figure it out. But he's a lieutenant and he's usually at Shadow HQ. But once I just spotted him on Moonbase recently and I was like, what are you doing here? Why are you on Moonbase? I love you, but why are you on Moonbase? I'm so confused. And I'm guessing it was just Straker bringing his best people up with him. I need to figure out his name. Because I'm starting to notice the background people more. That's the great thing about watching it over and over is like, who's that in the back of every scene? Maybe it's Ford. Let me do a quick search to see if that's right. It'd be great if you could help me out. Yes! Ford, is that his name? Okay, thank you everyone. Yes, I like him. He's really interesting. And I've been watching him a lot lately of just, what's he doing? What's he up to? Yeah, the kind of cast commentary on some scenes can definitely completely change that scene in your mind forever. It's one of the reasons I feel like I'm alone in this. I tend to avoid most behind the scenes because then it kind of corrupts your watching. And on UFO, I really want to know about the model work. I'm definitely intrigued by how all the miniatures and diorama kind of things go on. But when it comes to the actors, I'm like, I don't want to know too much behind the scenes. I want to enjoy it. But if you want to talk to me about like how did they paint the tree in one scene, I want to know about that. How do they do the UFO going through and then the water splashing for, again, the one where the Navy was dropping the gas in. Can't remember the name of the episode, but with the deep trench. Some great model work in that one. Yes. Watching behind the scenes, I tend to do as well when I'm not super into the show. When I'm really, really deep into the show, I don't actually want to know stuff. Like, I would absolutely not mind having a behind the scenes of Space 1999 Year 2. But Year 1, I don't want to know. I don't want to know. I want to enjoy the show. Oh, I'm sure YouTube has a lot of stuff about the Gerry Anderson model work and effects. I have to be very careful not to watch anything because I haven't seen some of the shows yet. So unless it's a UFO specific channel that's safe to watch. Yeah. Apparently, yes, it's Lieutenant Ford. I'm very happy and grateful that I now know his name because I was listening. I was ready to take notes. I'm like, somebody please address him by name. And what's terrible is they keep saying like Lieutenant Ellis, gay, Lieutenant Ellis. I'm like, I know her name already. Stop saying it. I want to know his name. Who is this guy? For any Stargate SG1 fans out there, for a long time, there was a character like him, and we just called him Chevron Guy. Nobody knew his name. I finally gave him one, but it was cute. Chevron Guy. Yeah, Colonel Lake, she moves around. But I mean, so does Foster. You'll see him on Moonbase, you'll see him on Skydiver, you'll see him at HQ. I feel like a lot of the higher up like officers do that. Ellis tends to be on Moonbase mostly, but Nina moves around. Like she does sonar, and she's also on Moonbase. Don't really see her as often at HQ, just doing HQ stuff. Favorite uniform on the show is still Skydiver. That's why I'm spending amount of money on a cosplay. Yeah, I think it's gonna be more expensive than my Mandalorian armor when I'm done. Alas. A lot of the underwater stuff was filmed in a thin tank like in Stingray to avoid immersing the models too much. So I'm guessing they had like a tank in front of it, and then behind it was the model, not in the water. That would make sense. Because I bet the models have little electronics and stuff in them you wouldn't want to get wet. Oh, I was mentioned on the podcast. Very cool. Yeah, that's one of the ones where I can't actually watch it yet because spoilers. Destruction. Yes, that was the episode name. Thank you. I'm at the point where I can describe every episode, but I don't know all their names yet. I don't have that memorized. It's stuff like the episode where Colonel Lake eats the apple, which is not helpful at all. Sometimes you can see fish react to an explosion. I'll have to look out for that in Stingray, especially. I bet that's gonna happen. The alien spacesuit turned up in a children's film. Yeah, I could see that. And I think I have seen the moon-based boots and other things as well, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they are really cool boots. I haven't set aside doing a moon-based uniform, but I would say, obviously, we're doing Skydiver first. I want to do an HQ because I think those are really cute. And my name is Alexa, so I can wear the A if I want. And then I say Moonbase is last. After Space 1999 Security. Sorry. I know everyone loves Moonbase, but it's just, it looks so uncomfortable. I'm sorry. From a practical standpoint, I don't want to have to wear that all day. Oh, there's an evil supercomputer that looks like the Moonbase consoles. I can see, probably. I'm sure they were reusing, swapping sets. After Stingray, what do you think you'll watch next? I'm leaning towards Joe 90, but I'm not sure yet. I'll put a poll out. Yes, I think the HQ uniforms are underrated. They're awesome. They remind me a little bit of Space 1999. Hello, Paul. The Moonbase uniform fabric looks very difficult to find. That is another reason. But you think that's tricky to find? Try getting a hold of that Arctic mesh. It's taken me 3 years. I think I found it. I'm gonna have to dye it though. It's white, but it's cotton, so fingers crossed I can dye it that slightly off-white. Kind of like a pearl color. Yeah, I'll keep you updated. Thank you everyone for stopping by. I probably will be doing another when I finish this particular rewatch, just because I go online and there's no one to talk to. Like, where are the UFO fans? In real life, every time I bring up the show, they're like, "Oh, what's your favorite science fiction show?" I'm like, "Oh, it's UFO." What? Gerry Anderson's UFO? What? I swear, I need to make a brochure explaining the show that I can like hand out to people. This is the show. I have not met a single person offline who has heard of it. Not one. So I'm very grateful that I can come here and that at least some people know what I'm talking about when I'm like, Colonel Commander Straker and his lines in A Question of Priority had me crying again, and you get it. You actually understand. You're not like, he's Commander Straker. Yeah, the mesh clothing I think is designed for the Arctic, where it basically gives you a little air barrier of warmth or something like that. Yeah. So thanks for everyone who stopped by and commented, and I hopefully we'll see you soon. I don't think there's really a sign off for UFO. We don't have a phrase. We don't have SIG or be seeing you, so I don't know. Do we have a phrase? I guess I'll leave with Commander Straker is awesome.